Charlie Kirk was not a fascist. Okay, that's probably obvious to many of you normal, sane people. But I have to say that, and it's probably going to shock and traumatize some of these wackadoodles on the left, right? And the reason I say that is, unlike, say, fascists of the past, he did not advocate for the ending of people's lives. He did not advocate for the removal of their rights. And be careful when I talk about rights. Many of you are confused about what are rights. There are some things that are, when we talk about natural rights, that's far different than the political points scored by people who want to label everything as a right. You have a right to this, a right to that. Things that should be privileges or luxuries are not rights. Anyway, that being said, if you're confused about the nature of what is or is not a right, you should really research the American founders and their ideas about them. They were spot on. So, anyway, we have this guy. He's obviously killed live. It's common knowledge. People still screaming about him being a fascist. And yet the people who are celebrating his death in this kind of ghoulish fashion are some of the most mentally unhinged people. You know, I think the general term now is Trantifa, obviously. And they are finding every way possible to justify his murder, his live execution, his murder. Now, if you take a really good look at these people, most of them are made up of gender-confused people who are suffering mental illness. There are, of course, the huge swath of beta males and hyper left-wing feminist types, right? And just let all you know that are in those groups, if you're in those groups, that you are not really in control as much as you would like to think. That ultimately, you've been tolerated. You have been tolerated by mostly the normal, sane, potentially dominant men who are just concerned about providing for their families and earning a living wage in this crazy society we have. And by the way, they relate to you on many levels when it comes to some of these struggles. You know, they might have a different point of view, a different philosophy. Charlie Kirk, for example, was a diehard Christian conservative. He had many viewpoints that I disagree with personally. That being said, he is not a fascist because he very strongly valued free speech. Now, for those of you who call yourself liberal, you must remember that free speech is historically a liberal virtue. It is something that I can even remember as a young kid. The older hippies and that generation, they were very much against what is now cancel culture, and against the suppression of the expression of ideas. Your speech mattered. It could not be suppressed by religious voices, government voices. It was meant to be the exchange of ideas. It's one of the best things about our system. It is kind of a liberal system when it comes to that. So somehow, a bunch of radical, lunatic Marxists have indoctrinated, generations of Americans into believing that any speech they disagree with is hate speech. It's speech they hate, and that they have a right to actually end your life over that difference of opinion. That is not an American idea, not at all. It's kind of strange because I remember in school Senator McCarthy's Red Scare of the 1950s, where he talked about communists infiltrating many institutions in the United States. That would include education, entertainment, different types of industries and government. And he was right. He was 100% right. We kind of mocked him back then. We thought he was just sort of an alarmist. In truth, he was spot on. And you got to be willfully ignorant or blind or complicit to deny that Hollywood, many of those in government, media, and education are not in on this. I worked in education. I'm fully aware of how much it has infiltrated our system. So we're looking at people who are mentally unhinged, looking for a scapegoat. It's easy to point fascist. He disagrees with me. He says something. And by the way, there's a lot of misinformation and lies about his positions. You can see that all the time. Or the twisting of the narrative, the twisting of what he believes in. So yeah, a bunch of wackos. And it's funny because you can look online and see the bots. Many of them are useful idiots. Like these young men, this young man who pulled this off, for example, he's just another useful idiot. Absolutely a useful idiot. And when this happened, people were talking about it's a professional hit, it's this or that. I'm like, no. It did take me long to pretty much figure out this is who he was. This was not a surprise to me in the slightest. As a matter of fact, this is exactly who I suspected. I knew it was going to be a white kid because they're in Utah. I knew it was going to be probably a kid with, I knew it would be a young man, probably a college student, probably had kind of conservative-leaning family members, being that he chose a 30-06 as his weapon of choice. 30-06 is not a military cartridge anymore, really. It's been something of a powerful hunting cartridge for generations now. I knew that he was not a professional because he was in an elevated position shooting down. He did not aim for the guy's neck. He probably aimed center mass, and not counting that angle, the angle, the height of the building, that he never took into consideration how that's going to affect his point of impact on his target. Likely rising a little bit, hits Charlie Kirk in the neck instead. He almost missed Charlie, if you really look at it. So, and of course there's details that might come out that I'm not correct about. Already the media is complicit. You got to realize that these radical loonies on the far left have a lot of allies in government, in media, in education, as I said before, and they already they've been twisting the narrative from the beginning. Come on, I mean, one of them said it was probably a Trump supporter or one of his supporters shooting in a celebratory fashion. Come on, how dumb do they think we all are? Now, and they also skew the statistics. They'll try to gaslight us and say, all the violence is coming from right wing. It's like, there is some, but overwhelmingly this is left wing. You got to realize, for them, the far left, they will equate your words as hateful as literal violence, and yet they will try to dismiss real violence, whether it's a shooting, whether it's a guy stabbing an innocent girl in the neck on a train, whether it's a white kid getting stabbed by a black kid at a game, in the chest. They will find ways to excuse it, even encourage it, even celebrate it. Okay, they're celebrating it. Now, they're playing a very dangerous game, in that the silent majority is waking up. The silent majority is saying, okay, these people cannot be reasoned with. The weakness of the American conservative / Republican movement has been their value system, in the sense that, okay, they are, most of them tend to be conservative Christians. And while as Christians they tend to have this turn the other cheek philosophy, that they want to reason with people. It's a good notion. It's nice to believe that other people will debate with you and discuss things with you. But these people cannot be reasoned with. They want you dead under any and all circumstances. They believe that you deserve to die. Their heads are full of fantasy, delusion, medications. They're out to lunch. You got to realize, and they're mostly, if you look at them, overwhelmingly a bunch of weird little beta males. You have to realize that their notion of what violence and war is, and I saw a comment on one channel which really encapsulated this perfectly. Their idea of war and violence is like a Star Wars or a Marvel movie. Okay, they've got no idea what war is really like, what violence is really like. So for them, they see themselves as a protagonist. They fantasize. These radical women believe in the Brie Larson nonsense. They believe in their capability to fight in these systems they cannot fight like they think they can. They believe that they're fighting the Red Skull, okay, that everybody that disagrees with them is, anybody who's to the right of Stalin is a Nazi, which is ridiculous. So for them, they feel as though they must take action in any way, shape, or form. They believe they're in their heroism. And all these media pundits and all these political figures have been cheering for this and encouraging this. I see AOC get on TV and talk about, we need to get rid of the Second Amendment and this is gun control. And she's, no way. The rest of us are not going to give up our weapons so that your freak show lunatics can have their way with us. It's not happening. And, just going to say, some of us have reawakened to our ancestral cultural past. We don't turn the other cheek. So you're in for a different kind of situation should you play these games with some of us. We don't turn the other cheek. Is this going to escalate? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I would like to say no, it shouldn't. But I'm kind of thinking that maybe it needs to. Maybe it needs to. Don't want to see it. Don't want to disrupt things. Would rather not. Guarantee you, if enough of the typical gun-toting, prepared conservative types stand up and start putting their feet down, no tolerance. Now, they do it in different ways. They're getting people doxxed and fired for the ridiculous antics that they're doing. But if they start deciding they're going to be violent, and there's enough of them, you're not going to be able to stop them, period. You're not going to be able to stop them. So I would advise some of you freaks, geeks, and tweaks on the far left, you should re-engage with dialogue. And I would also encourage people that are on this right, also engage in dialogue. That's kind of the sensible, normal thing to do. That's part of the Western tradition that we are so proud of. Although I would say most of the radical left is not proud of it. They want it destroyed. They want it gone. And I can concede that, yeah, we have a lot of problems. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. All right? So, to those wackadoodles on the left who mock a man being murdered in front of his, and mock his children, I've heard all kinds of horrible shit from these stupid asses. They think they're important. They're so full of their own narcissism, they have no idea that how pathetic they sound. Be careful what you wish for. You might get it. And when that shoe's on the other foot, it's not going to be like a video game or a movie. It's not going to be some abstract experience through your computer as you troll away at people, as you are vile and pathetic. No, they're going to be in your face. They're going to be in your face. And I kind of look forward to the highlight reels myself. That's popcorn. And, and if you come at me, you're going to get it too. I ain't going to fuck with you. No way. I will make a brutal example of you. I don't give a shit. I'm old and I don't give a fuck. Matter of fact, some part of me looks forward to it. So, that being said, let's try to be nice to each other, right? I prefer civility, making friends from all spectrums, all types of people I'm willing to be friends with. But if you're a shithead, you're a shithead, and I don't care. Anyway, that's my rant for the moment. I'm going to go sell a rifle, and I'm sure somebody will buy it in this day and age. You all have a great day, and I plan on having one as well.